Hi, Homeworthy. My name is Beth Clarke. Welcome to our family home in North Carolina. Come on in.
Watching Homeworthy, where we believe every home has a story.
Hi, Homeworthy. I'm Beth Clarke. Welcome to my home in North Carolina. So my husband's job relocated us here. He started working for a company downtown. We were living in Texas at the time. And I remember seeing this house online. I had narrowed down where I wanted to live based on the school district. And I had been looking at listings online for a few weeks. And I remember seeing this house. We were in Dripping Springs on vacation. And I saw it and I was like, oh, I think that's it. It was the land. The land sold us the lot. It's about 2.5 acres. So the house needed a lot of work, but I love that. I'd rather buy a house that needs a lot of work than a house that's already had a lot of work done. It was nicely kept, which was good, but it needed quite a bit of work. We removed walls. Kitchen got a renovation. This floor was sunken down. We raised it. Yeah, we did a lot of work. It took about 3 months. So we were living in temporary accommodation for that long with 2 dogs and a cat and 3 kids. And by the end of the 3 months, I was ready to I was like, I don't care what the house looks like at this point. We're moving in. So this is our front door. This is where you enter into the house. This is kind of where you get the whole shot of the living room and kitchen and dining room. You can see everything all at once, which I love. There used to be a wall here, the whole length here, because there was a nice little entryway or vestibule, very 80s, 90s build. But we took that out. The living room was sunk about 6 inches. So there was a doorway here, then you step down into the living room. And I just knew that that would not work with my kids running around constantly. So we raised the floors and opened this all up. And I really wanted to get sight lines from the front door through to the back of the house so that you could see into the backyard. And it just makes everything seem that much more expansive, even though it's not a very big space. When we moved in, it just had regular bifold doors. So I went to Architectural Salvage downtown to look for double doors. And I saw this barn door and it caught my eye immediately. I loved how worn it was. I'm not typically a barn door fan, but this is like a legit barn door. It has the original track. My contractor could not believe that I wanted to leave the track really rusty. He was like, oh, clean it up or spray paint it, make it look nice. And I was like, it does look nice. Leave it all. Every nail and ding is excellent. So as you walk in, one of the first pieces of furniture you see is this console. I got this a few months ago on Cherish. I must have looked at 50 consoles and mocked up about 20. And I was really hesitant to get this because it's kind of a departure maybe from what I'm used to. It's a high gloss finish. And the color, the red mahogany it's a statement. And I love it. When I brought it into the space, I was like, oh, thank goodness. It really does work. This painting back here, I got at a local winery. My family and I had gone to this winery and just spent the day there. It was a really beautiful summer day. They sold a bunch of artwork. The owners were painters, but this was hanging outside under an awning and it was covered in dust. But it immediately caught my eye. So I went and asked them if it was for sale. And luckily it was. It was by the owner's mentor. And it just fits perfectly in this space. I love it so much. I think it's really unique and goes really nicely with the console. And these big palm leaves, I made a post yesterday, are these palm leaves too big? But that's not really a thing. They can't be too big. I think they really work. So that's what you see when you first kind of enter into the living room area. So as you walk in through our entryway, you get to our living room. And this space has really, it's seen a few different iterations. Originally, I had the sofa going this way and a smaller coffee table. And it's taken years to get to this point. Again, every piece takes a long time to find. I didn't really, again, have a plan for the living room. I've just purchased things that I like and kind of know that they'll go together. There has been a lot of trial and error here. I've tried chairs that don't work, rugs that don't work. I had a jute rug here that was just a disaster. But eventually I found pieces and I feel like I'm in a good spot. I don't need anything else. One of the things that always gets people's attention when they walk in the front door is this pendant light. I hung it myself, and when I ordered it before we actually moved into the house. I just based it on the measurements, and it got delivered to the apartment we were staying in a gigantic box. And I was like, oh no, it's way too big. This is not gonna work. But once I hung it up in the space, I mean, it's big, it's a statement, but it works, and the ceilings are high enough to accommodate it. Another thing that people really comment on now is the bright blue rug. I took a risk here as well. I think that's a really important thing for people to do and understand, is you have to step outside of your comfort zone a little bit. I was a little hesitant, again, to get a bright cobalt blue rug, but I had seen a few pictures online, mid-century, like true mid-century spaces, and a lot of them had cobalt blue rugs or a pop of color here or there. So I thought, you know what, I'm gonna try it, see how it goes. If I hate it, it's no big deal. I think it was like $250 for a 9x12. So it wasn't a huge investment if it didn't work. But once I laid it down, I thought, oh, this is what the space needed to really make it come to life. Against all the other neutral pieces, it really helps them stand out, and it just makes everything that much more interesting. These chairs I found on, well, actually all three of these chairs I found on Facebook Marketplace, just a local seller. This chair actually has a sofa partner that's up in our upstairs room. This coffee table, someone on Instagram had posted a picture of it from Badlands Vintage. And when I saw it, I was like, oh my gosh, that's it. That's the coffee table I need for my space. So I got it from Badlands Vintage and love it. The kids like walk all over this thing. Like it's a platform. They jump on the sofa from it. There's paint everywhere. Again, it's just a piece that can really take the abuse and wear of our family. And it just gets better with age. And it's super sturdy, like most, I mean, it's hand built. So it's gonna last quite a while. Yeah, so the coffee table books I have are some that I've read, some that, I mean, I've read all of them, but some I bought just because like the yellow cover I really like and the text, but the contents is great as well. I have the Kelly Wearstler book because y'all better have this. It's just an incredible source of inspiration. I mean, look at that. You open it and you're like, what, how? I have a few books over here. Upstate is a book that is a bunch of interiors from upstate New York. So I love that aesthetic as well. Pierre Yovanovitch, an amazing interior designer, like the greatest. There's something different about looking at a page in front of you, and really, if you're looking at the images online, you kind of get distracted and you can see 100 images within 10 minutes. But the book, it forces you to sit down and really go through and take it all in. So I've mixed quite a different tones of wood in this space. And I think people are generally a little nervous or don't really want to mix wood tones. But I think when you get all the same wood tone, it can look blah. So it's nice to add that contrast, that variance. And again, I just buy stuff I like. I'm not necessarily thinking about the wood tone itself. I gravitate towards more mid-tone woods, but for instance, this piece I saw on Facebook Marketplace, and it's a darker wood tone, but I got it because of how graphic it looks. So in the corner, I've got a corner cabinet that I found at a local antique store, and the back was originally painted yellow. So I painted it black to really help the items stand out. The decor items I've gotten from several different sellers on Instagram or locally. The spiky soapstone bookends from Tally Living. I got those when she posted those. I was like, oh my gosh, Those are so weird and cool, I need them. I say that a lot. That's weird, that's cool, I need it. This artwork I got online. It came framed and everything. I just took it out of the box. I love how bold the print was, the shape of it. Again, I gravitate a lot towards shape more than anything. For instance, this lamp, the shape of it is what I saw first, and then the color. I found this lampshade to go with it. So our living room is really where we come together to watch movies mostly. For a long time, we didn't have a TV in here. And I realized like we weren't really using the space as much. So once we put a TV in, everyone can come and watch movies together. So this fireplace was all brick. There was actually a nook where like a big space here that was just empty. So we stuccoed over it, and I designed these wood nooks. I took inspiration from I Swoon, Athena Calderon's home, and she has similar wood nooks, and I thought, oh, that would look great here. And we can't reach the wood up top, but that's not the point. It looks good. So we're constantly refilling down here. So I found these sconces on Etsy, and they're vintage Italian sconces, and I love the brass detail with the yellow acrylic. And when you turn them on, they give off this really beautiful kind of yellow glowy light that looks really nice at night. I was able to install them myself, and I think they add a perfect touch to the room. I had a career actually in production and product development in retail in New York. And then my husband's job relocated us to Texas. I took some time off to raise our kids. Around 2020, when we were living in Texas and the pandemic hit, I was stuck inside and just started really looking around and seeing what I could do DIY-wise. I started working on a lot of DIY projects in the house. And it's really during that time that I realized that I might have a bit of a passion for it. I didn't really know interior design was a job at the time. And during that time, I actually started watching, as we all did, I think we're in lockdown, a lot of design shows. Realized like, wow, people are actually doing this. Maybe I can try it in my own home. And got into Instagram at that time, which I think is an incredible source because I got to see other established interior designers, their spaces. It offered a ton of inspiration. I got into reading design books. I think that was really the first time I realized how great interior design could be. And this house is really the first time I dealt with floor plans and knocking out walls and more structural stuff, and had a ton of fun with that. So this is my kitchen. We renovated this pretty extensively. This whole opening here was widened to kind of open the kitchen up into the living room and to really give a sight line to the front door so that when you walk in, you can see straight to the back of the house. There was a hallway entrance here. We closed that in to allow for more countertop space. We were actually lucky. All the cabinet boxes were in pretty good condition, so I just repainted them myself. I didn't really know I wanted a moody kitchen, but I knew I wanted dark cabinetry because I had light cabinetry in our last house, white to start with, and all the drips from the kids and the dogs and the cat, I was constantly cleaning them. I'd eventually strip those down to the raw wood, but I couldn't do that with these. So I painted them a nice dark color. It's satin black by Behr. And a funny story, I was painting them and I ran out of paint, and I told my husband, go to Home Depot, get a Behr satin black cabinet paint. And he came back with black paint in a satin finish. So I had to send him back, and he was not very happy about that. But that's a confusing paint color name. But that's what it is, and it's held up really well to all the dings and things. The handles are brass, and the wall color is Behr's Ocean Swell. But I actually picked this wall color because I wanted a wall color to make the wood bowls that I'll show you in a little bit really pop. And they're kind of a collection that I love. So I was swatching paint colors against these wood bowls to see what looked best with those. And then I just painted the whole kitchen because it's all kind of one room. The refrigerator was actually here, and we moved that into what was kind of a big walk-in pantry. I think the washer and dryer used to be in there. So we moved that out of the way. And I found this big countertop cabinet at Architectural Salvage downtown. And I thought it was perfect for this space because I definitely needed more storage. We have a lot of dishes, a lot of plates with 5 family members. So the countertops are granite. I wanted soapstone, and then I got the soapstone price tag, and I was like, nope, we'll find the next best thing. And that was, it's called Negresco granite, and I love it. It has some beautiful veining that we used for the backsplash of the range. This range is really, whenever anyone walks in, this is what they see first. And like, it's an Aga range, 48 inches. It was really the splurge for the kitchen. It's a workhorse. We use this every day. My husband's an amazing cook, so he loves this thing. I am not an amazing cook, so I like to look at it, but I'm not really cooking too much on it. We boxed in our hood range. I stained it. I thought it just looked nice to keep it simple. We have a espresso machine over here, which we really love. We use it quite a bit. And I just hung these copper pots here. Do I use the copper pots? No, I do not, but they look nice. This nice vintage mirror here I just put up. Shelving here. I knew I didn't want upper cabinets other than this countertop cabinet. So I took out the uppers and I installed these floating shelves. There's L brackets holding them up. I just painted over them so you can't really see them, and have strategically placed things in front of the bracket so you can't see them. But I really love this because it gives me an opportunity to kind of display the things that I love. My collection of studio pottery mugs and some bowls and things, a plant that is slowly dying. It's held on for so long. It's been like 2 years, but about every month I lose a branch. Faucet is unlacquered brass, which I know is everywhere, but I love it. It ages with us really well. And yeah, this is, it's a really great kitchen. It is busy all the time. Like, this is our second dining table. The kitchen is the heart of the home, so it was really important for us to get this right. So the rug I actually found on Etsy. I looked at, I'm not kidding, probably 200 rugs to get the right dimensions and the right tone and the right pattern, something that wasn't too busy. But also I love the kind of checker box pattern. It was actually a lot more saturated. We've had it for about 2 years, so it's really faded now, which I kind of like. And it really is good for like hiding dog slobber and water spills. I installed all of the light fixtures here. It's the one thing I learned how to do that I think is invaluable. I don't need to call an electrician over whenever I need to switch out a pendant light or a sconce. I can do it myself, and it's really easy to do. So I installed the island lights, which I found on Etsy. And again, this was also Etsy. I think this is an antique French brass chandelier, which I love in the space. And they're 2 really different styles and eras. You know, the island lights don't really necessarily go with the kitchen light, but they're both brass. They work together, and I really like them. So in my space, they work great. So we've been here for about 4 years, and what I think people really need to understand when they look at a space like this is that it takes years. These pieces took years to come together. It was very bare bones when we moved in. Luckily, we moved into an area really close to High Point, which I didn't know was like the furniture interior design mecca. So I got really lucky there. I've gone shopping there quite a bit, which is a great resource. Come into the dining room now, which is part of the kitchen. Really, it's one big room, so the ocean swell color, the blue color, kind of carries on into this space. We use this space every night. We have family dinners here every night. It's really important to our family to sit down together. Again, kind of designed this room to just be a reflection of what I like. I didn't really have a an idea in mind or a theme. I just bought things that I liked or we liked and put them together. For instance, this antique farm table I found on Cherish. I think it goes really nicely with these Blue Dot. This is the Real Good chair from Blue Dot in copper. So super modern, way more comfortable than you'd think for a metal chair. We've had these for years, since Texas, and they just have patinaed really beautifully. And I think they are a great juxtaposition to the farm table. I hung this pendant light. I wanted something big and that was kind of glowy and made a statement. It provides a nice moody lighting at night. Back here, we have our mini dry bar, which doesn't get used very often. I don't really drink, but it got really depleted. We had a party a few months back, and you can tell some of the liquor bottles are a little low now. But that's our little dry bar area. So this painting I found on Cherish, the print, and I don't know, I loved him. I thought it was super simple and beautiful. And I found this frame. I think I found it at an antique store or a thrift store somewhere, and I just had it rematted with a nice kind of muted yellow mat. And he's looking down on us every night as we eat dinner. And he's just, yeah, part of the family. So these wooden bowls, I found a Facebook marketplace listing for this guy who had been turning wood bowls for like 30, 40 years, and he was retiring. And he posted a picture just of this room filled with wooden bowls. And I was like, oh my gosh, I'm going. I flew there. I was the first one there. And this guy opens his front door and he's like, come inside. And I was like, I don't know that I'm coming inside. I don't know you. So I FaceTimed my son as I'm walking into the house. And I don't know what good that would have done, FaceTiming my son. What is he going to do? He's just going to see me get kidnapped? I don't know. But no, the guy was so nice and he was quite understanding. And he took me back to his room where he had hundreds of bowls. I've never seen a room like it. And these are all unfinished. So they're all wood bowls that he had turned. The wood is actually from his property, and he knew every species of wood. I talked to him for like an hour. He was the nicest guy. I bought 18 bowls. A funny story, my husband, the day before, I had gone thrifting, and I think I bought like a little accent bowl or something. And my husband was like, we don't need any more bowls. What are you doing buying bowls? And then the next day I brought home 18 bowls. But, you know, how could I say no to these? I could not say no to these. So I actually I built these shelves and installed them just to display the bowls as a little collection. And again, this is how I picked the paint color for the room, because I really wanted to pick a paint color that went with the bowls. So that's what these are. And, you know, I love them. It's just, I think it makes a really unique statement in the room. Yeah, the double-sided fireplace was really one of the selling points for me. I thought it was so cool. It was brick, so we stuccoed over the brick. We took out a few rows of the brick on the hearth and covered it in, well, originally we covered it in stucco, and then I quickly realized that stucco and ash don't really go together. You can't really clean that very well. So I bought this slate tile, I think from Floor & Decor or maybe Wayfair, and had someone come in and install it. I could not DIY that. But yeah, now it's really, I can wipe it down really easily. And we have fires here quite a bit in the fall and winter. We lost power, I think it was last winter or the winter before. We lost power for about 2 days. And we were all huddled by the fire and just kept it going. So that was really a lifesaver. So the artwork I found at Golden Oldies in High Point. I had gone to market a few times, and this was hanging on a wall kind of above a bunch of furniture. It wasn't really easily accessible, and it always caught my eye, but I never really went through the trouble of finding out how much it was or should I get it. And then one day I went and I thought, you know what? Every time I come here, it catches my eye, so that must mean something. And I asked him how much it was, and it was manageable, so I brought it home. It's a sunroom, so there's windows all around. So as you can imagine, it gets to be like 90 degrees, 100 in the summer. So I had to put up these blinds across all the windows. I mean, even when you walk in now, even the doorway lets in a lot of sun, so it's a lot of radiant heat. But it's a great little spot. I mean, it's really the only spot in the house I can work from home and kind of be tucked away. And yeah, this cabinet I got from a local antique store. It houses our printer. I cut a hole through the back and just fed our printer wires through there. And now it's a nice, because that was something I struggled with. I need somewhere to print, but printers are hideous. I don't want anyone to see a printer. How can I hide it? So that was kind of the solution there. This table it tucks in nicely to the corner. I got this also at Golden Oldies. I have some artwork here that I purchased from 214 Modern on the bottom, I believe. And this artwork I found while we were in the Cotswolds last summer. We just went down an alleyway and found a little thrift store. And I saw it in the window and it immediately caught my eye, and I brought it back as carry-on luggage. I just cradled it in my lap for the whole flight. Every time I look at it, I think of the Cotswolds, which is a great thing. You know, I love getting things from our travels because it immediately makes you think of that trip. So I love seeing it every day. All right, let me take you into our primary bedroom. This is a space that has also seen a few iterations. I think I'm in a good place now. The walls are smoke infusion, 50% lighter. I swatched out a bunch of different colors, and I love this kind of calming light blue. So I have a few different art pieces in the space, all of which I've collected from different places. These two, and I have kind of a red art theme going on in here, which was not intentional, but I do love it. These two pieces I found on Cherish. This big piece I found at a local antique store. I love the pattern and the color. This over here is actually a print from my grandfather's office. He passed away 16 years ago, but I took it from his office and I look at it every day and it makes me think of him. So the bed is a platform bed, very mid-century. The blanket I actually designed, I sell them, and it's based on a traditional overshot blanket. I just blew up the pattern, and it's a really heavy, nice knit blanket, very weighty. The bench I have at the foot of the bed is actually a marble slab with an iron frame that I found at an antique store in Dallas, Texas when we lived there. It's just the top that I found. And then I put it on an IKEA shoe rack base. Like, this is just IKEA that I painted black, I think. So the lighting I got from Cherish and Etsy, a combination of both. This I found on Cherish. I'm a sucker for a pointy shade, like a cone shape or a pyramid shape. If there's a point, I'm all for it. So this caught my eye immediately. I've had that for a few years. And then the table lamps here I got on Etsy. And again, the shade is really what caught my eye, and in the scale, they're quite big. I love the statement they make and the shape. Again, shape. I always come back to shape first. So that's what gravitated me towards those lamps. This chair is really cool. I saw it at 214 Modern, and it caught my eye immediately. It's, you know, it's functional. It's form and function together. It's just really cool. It's not like any other chair I've ever seen. So it's made of plywood from what I can tell. And I needed an accent chair here. I went through several different, like more antique traditional chairs. So it's been there for a couple years now and we love it. So before we head up to the media room, I just want to show you this textile from Evelyn Ackerman. I found it in Texas at an estate sale. I went on like the last day, and this was in a crumpled up bunch on a bed, kind of buried under stuff, but the color caught my eye. And I didn't even know what it was at first. I just loved the picture and the scene. I thought it was really, really nice. But turns out Evelyn Ackerman was really known for her textile weaving, and it's worth quite a bit more than I paid for it. I think I paid $5 for it. So It's got its nice little spot here away from the family and the kids mostly. Like they don't come back here too much, so I feel like it's protected. I did think about that because I was like, if I put this in the main room, it's destroyed quickly. So it's protected here. So this is our media room where we watch movies. The screen is bigger up here. It's a darker, I want it to be like a movie theater room. And it's my husband's stereo room as well, so dual purpose. I found this antique grain bin at an antique store downtown. I originally was going to have it in our entryway, and then John was like, no, I need that for my stereo, so he stole my grain bin, but I think it looks great up here. This artwork, I guess you could call it, I actually made myself. I did the wood frame, made the wood frame, and then just stapled PVC mirror fabric, just crinkled it up and stapled it to the back of the frame. And it creates this really cool reflection of light in the space. This is a vintage lounge chair from IKEA. So that's my husband's spot when we're watching movies. This is the sofa that goes with my chair downstairs. I hated to break up the set in the space, but it just had to be done. And this lamp, again, I have a thing for pointy cone lamps. It's a weird addiction, but we all have our things. This I got at 214 Modern as well. This Asian cabinet I got, I believe in High Point. I like honestly lose track of where I get things. But I got these frames. I've had these since we lived in Texas, these prints. So I just, yeah, the rug I got from Etsy. I knew I wanted something really graphic up here. I just didn't know what. And then I came across this rug. And again, it's something where I was like, oh, I don't know. I'm kind of nervous about it. It might not work. But if you don't take the risk, you're not going to really have that wow moment. So when I laid it down, I was like, okay, wow, it's perfect. It's actually made of hemp, it said, which I didn't know rugs were made of hemp, but it's pretty soft underfoot and yeah, adds a great, like really bold pattern to the space. So this is a textile that I found on Etsy. I knew I wanted to hang it somewhere, I just didn't know how. So I went out into our backyard and found a really long branch, and I spent like 2 hours stripping the bark off of the branch. And then one day I come home and it's in pieces in our backyard. And I thought our dog had gotten to it, but I was like, there's no chew marks. What's going on? My son had gone and like used it as a karate chopping, just hitting stuff with it and broke it to pieces. But he was very nice. He found another very long branch and stripped the bark off of it. And that's actually this one. So it was a great way to display this textile. What home means to me is just a reflection of me and my family. If you look around, there's hard surfaces everywhere. I don't own upholstered furniture right now because 3 kids, 2 dogs, the cat. I would just be replacing that upholstered furniture. I tried it and it did not work. I would love a linen sofa, but that's not realistic for us. So there's leather, there's vinyl, wood, stone. So everything is kind of durable, still can look nice, but nothing's too precious in this house, and that's what I like. I don't freak out about dings on the wall. The dogs run through the hallway and get mud on the white walls. It's not the end of the world. I just want my family to be really comfortable and happy here, and I hope my kids grow up thinking that they grew up in a creative space, a nice looking space. I hope they feel comfortable here and happy, and I want them to have creative space in their own rooms eventually. And yeah, I hope the family grows up really happily here.
Thanks for watching. Be sure to go to homeworthy.com for exclusive content, shopping guides, and so much more.